So I went to the funeral today of a really beautiful friend that I've known for about 20 years. And I am really shaken by it, but I also am desperate to try and find some positive out of such a tragic situation. And that's why I wanted to turn the camera on and share some of the things that I'm thinking about and some of the ways that I intend to live my life differently now because of, I suppose, the shock and the tragedy of losing a friend so unexpectedly. Now, she was 49 years old, so she was still very young, in the prime of her life with a lot to look forward to. I'm 59, so she was a decade younger than me, and perhaps that's why this has hit me so hard, that it has made me realize that we're not here forever, and we're here, like the saying goes, for a good time, not a long time. And her death has made me reflect on how I would like to live differently going forward. And interestingly, this sort of coincided with a YouTube video that I watched recently, and it was a video that was filmed by a 90, I think she was 92 or 94-year-old, sharing 10 lessons that she wished that she had taken on in her 60s. Now, I'm 59, so it was kind of timely for me to listen to that video, and I suppose I was reflecting on that video when I was at the funeral today and thinking about all of this and some of the lessons that this lovely older woman shared just really hit home today more than ever. And I wanted to share my take on some of these things and what I will definitely be doing differently going forward so that I don't, well, just so that I make the very most of my final years and the rest of the life that I have, because today has shown me that you just don't know when it's over. It can all end in a second. But one thing that today has kind of awakened in me is that we just don't talk about death. We don't, it's funny when we're younger, and certainly when I was younger, everything was about looking forward to career milestones, relationship milestones, getting married, having babies, planning for the future. And I think what I've realized now is that the next part of my life is not so much about planning for the future, because the future's not guaranteed and I've got less time to live now than what I've already lived. So what I do with this time is more important than I could, ever imagine. And I think we don't sort of realize that almost until it's too late. And as I was saying, we don't talk about death. We don't normalize death. And interestingly, and this might seem like a little silly example, but I recently lost a dog, a greyhound. He was 14 and a half. And the last year of his life, I kept saying to my boyfriend, oh, he's not going to be here much longer. This is probably the last time he'll do this. And he used to sort of shoot me down and say, oh, that's so morbid. Don't be so negative. And what I realized that I wasn't being negative. I was just getting used to the fact that some point in the near future, he wasn't going to be with us. And I think that that's not what we do when it comes to people. We don't think like that. I think we sort of almost have this expectation that life just goes on and on and on. And then when there is a death, it just, rocks us and completely shocks us. And that's expected. I mean, losing anyone is hard. But I do think one thing that could make it a little more palatable is if we normalize death as part of life. And I'm not saying this to try and minimize losing people, but I do think that we need to normalize the idea of we are all going to die. And that doesn't have to be morbid. It doesn't have to be a negative. It is as much a part of life as living and in focusing on the good bits. And I think it's really important that we do focus on all of those good bits, don't get me wrong, and I will still continue to do that. But I will also start being perhaps more realistic about the fact that, you know, death is a part of life and it comes to us all. And that is something that this woman in her video talked about as well. She had some really good lessons, and one of them was that, what is it she said here? I've written it down. Oh, that's right. She said, one of the important things that we need to do at this age and stage in our life, and she was talking about from 60s on, and as I said, I'm 59, so that's, you know, where I'm at basically. She was saying how important it is to make new friends. And that was a bit of a lesson for me, because I almost haven't made any new friends when I think about it in the last probably decade. And I think you get to an age and stage where you've kind of got your friends and your different friend groups, and you almost don't make any effort to make new friends. And what this woman said was that she had her tight-knit group of girlfriends, and unfortunately she outlived them all. And what she says that we need to focus on is to make great friends all the way throughout our lives. Don't close ourselves off to meeting new people and making new friends and making time for the friends that we have. And that's definitely a mistake that I've made. And I still do, focus so much on work. I have another YouTube channel. This is a new YouTube channel for me, but my other YouTube channel has 285,000 subs. I've built that up over about 8 years now. I focus a lot of my attention and my self-worth on my job and my career and what I do day to day. And that's something that I've got to change. And I think one of the things that I've sacrificed along the years of building up a career and trying to succeed in things that I set my mind to is that my friends haven't always been a priority. And I think that that's a real shame. And what I do think now is I will open myself up and continue to make new friends and look at younger friends and older friends. And I do think I have got friends in different age groups, but I could do a better job of opening myself up and my life up to some new friendships, I should say. I was going to say relationships. That's, no, you know what I mean, friendships. Oh, and that's what she says in her video. And I'll link that video down below in the description box, because I think it's a really good watch, and definitely there were plenty of thought starters in that one for me, so it's definitely worth taking a look at. But she said, continue to make new friends, younger, older, cast the net wider, because the loneliness of outliving everyone you love is awful. And that really hit home when I heard that, and it's made me realize that is one change that I'm going to make going forward. I'm not just going to sort of rest on my laurels and be content with, I've got amazing friendships. Don't get me wrong. I have some amazing people in my life, but two things. I'm going to be open to new friendships, and I'm also going to invest more of my energy and time into the friendships that I already have, because they're incredibly important. And in a busy life, it's all too easy to overlook how important those friendships are. Oh, now the next piece of advice that she gave, and this was so relevant to me having just gone to the funeral today, and what she said was, have conversations about death and money while everyone is still healthy enough to have them. That one did strike a chord with me, because what today showed me is that death just happens when we least expect it. And it made me think, I need to make a plan. I've got 2 sons, and yes, they're grown up, they're adults now, they're 20 and 22, but I need a plan. And what has been happening to me, interestingly, it's almost like the universe has been trying to tell me something, and that is that I kept getting served up on Instagram to buy a end-of-life planner, and I think it's called, I did write it down, what's it called? Oh, yeah, the planner's called It's Your Problem Now Because I'm Dead. It covers off everything for you. So it's got all of your passwords, all of your bank account details, where your will is, all of the stuff that if if I died tomorrow, I essentially would be leaving my family, my boys, my partner with a whole lot of like uncertainty, and they don't know where things are. And so I think me getting served up those ads on Instagram is almost like the universe again trying to tell me that, hey, you're not a spring chicken anymore, and maybe it is time to make some plans and make it easier for those people around you if you do depart this earth in the next little while without any warning, because that happens, and it happens every day. And I feel like it's not a morbid thing for me to be now thinking along those lines, that this is the future. This is going to happen. Get sensible about it and make some plans to make it easier for everyone else that you leave behind. One of the other pieces of advice that this lovely lady, who had apparently all her life been a school guidance counsellor, but one of the other things that she said, and I wrote it down here, was use the good years while you have them. And she talked about doing things like taking trips, saying yes to invitations, spoiling yourself, going on adventures, because I think for me, this one hit home because I've always, as I said, been focused on achieving success in my career and earning this amount of money and buying this house. And I'm still in that mindset, as opposed to kind of pulling that back a little bit and going, live your life. It's not like I haven't had great adventures and had fun and done amazing things, but it's now or never, more than ever before. And she sort of really hits that home. And as I was sitting at the funeral today, that just really hit home stronger than ever, that we have limited time on this earth, and we need to have as much fun as we can, spend time with the people that we love, go on adventures. And I've had a few little adventures, or over the last probably 5 years, I've had some really fun adventures with my boys and done all sorts of things, from bungee jumping with them, big road trips in the US. I've climbed mountains and done all sorts of fun daredevil things, jumped out of planes. But it's kind of, yesterday especially, has made me realize, say yes to those things. Take advantage of any opportunity that you can get, because tomorrow is never promised. And also do it while you still can. I've been someone who has always been pretty fit and healthy, and I've always been active, and it just doesn't even enter my mind that there'll be a time in my life that I won't have perhaps the strength to even stand up out of a chair. And that's what she was saying. She didn't really appreciate and take advantage of her health and her mobility when she still had it. And so for me, I'm going to make sure that I continue to do the things that I can do and to push my body as much as I can, because being strong and fit and mobile for as long as I possibly can is a real priority for me. And that's something that I'm going to push as long as I possibly can. Another piece of really solid advice that she shared was to forgive everyone now, because later you won't have the chance. And she talked about having a fight with her brother, and they held a grudge and didn't talk to each other for about 8 years. And then he passed away. And one of her biggest regrets is that she didn't actually extend an olive branch and swallow her pride and just say sorry. She talked about the fact that we all make mistakes. No one is perfect. Holding grudges and holding on to things it doesn't serve anyone in the long run. And she's had to live with that regret of not mending that relationship when she had the chance to, because like anything, when it's too late, it is too late. So she was very much saying that we need to say the things that we think and feel now. Tell people that we love them. Oh, there's a fly in here. Tell people that we love them. Say the things that are important to say. Mend those bridges. Swallow our pride. And that there's a learning in that for me. I haven't talked to my brother for a number of years, and I probably need to really take that advice on board and mend that bridge before it's too late. And I also didn't talk to my dad for many years before he passed. And again, you know, there were reasons for that, but I'll probably always live with that regret that I didn't maybe make more effort, and then it was too late. I mean, it is what it is now, but I think her point of nothing is that important to hold a grudge until it's too late. And I suppose, yeah, it's a good reminder. Oh, actually, yes, what she said, and this was her exact words: people die and they do not wait for you to be ready. They don't wait for the right moment or the perfect apology. They just go and they take your chance with them. Oh, and her next piece of advice was another clanger for me, and she talked about your adult children don't need your advice, they need your presence. And that's so relevant for me at this point in time as well. My boys are in their early 20s, and while they don't know everything about life yet, I don't know everything about life either. So I need to be pulling back from that sort of real strong parenting role in terms of, you know, micromanaging them and guiding them through every small aspect of their life, and just being there for them, you know, being there for them to make decisions that perhaps I wouldn't have made, but, you know, they will work out what is the right decision for them and what isn't. And so I think that's really good advice for me. I need to be less about giving advice and doing things for them and allowing them the freedom, because I trust them. I trust their decisions. I trust their ability to live a good life and make great decisions in life. So I just need to allow them to be able to do that with freedom and grace. So I will always be their mum. I'll always be their parent, but that doesn't mean that they always want me telling them what to do and giving them unsolicited advice. So that's, oh, my leg is going to sleep here. That's something that I'm going to make sure that I really work on as well. One of probably the most poignant things that she talked about, and all of this stuff really became very, I think I watched this video a couple of weeks back, but sitting at the funeral today, this all really sort of, it was almost like the switch flicked on, and everything that had been said in this video became extremely relevant to me. That, you know, that's why I've decided to start this channel, turn on my camera and talk about it here today, because this is the stuff of life. This is the really relevant stuff that a lot of us don't talk about. And the real clanger for me was when she said, you're going to be scared, but do it anyway. And she talked about there were things in life that terrified her, and I think we can all relate. We've all been there. There's things that have terrified me in life, and sometimes I've decided to do it anyway, and sometimes I've been too scared to do it. And she talked about, she said here, I was terrified of getting old, terrified of losing my husband, getting sick. She tried not to think about it, as if ignoring her fears made it go away. But she said all of the things that she was terrified about happened. She did get old. Her husband died. She had a stroke, so she did get sick and lost her mobility. And yeah, she says here that, you know, trying to ignore those fears and not sort of face them head on, it didn't make any of those things not happen, or it didn't make them go away. It just, for her, made them harder when they did happen. She says here, everything happened, every fear came true, and I'm still here. So basically her point was the things that she feared and spent years and years of her life being scared of, they didn't destroy her. They all happened, and I think she sort of said that they diminished her somewhat, but they didn't destroy her. So her point was that she could have wasted or saved herself years of being terrified and scared and making decisions based on fear and not experiencing things because she was scared of a certain outcome. They all happen anyway, and it didn't end her. So I think, yeah, that's been a big learning for me, in that my lovely friend today, her life is gone. 49 years is not long, and she's left behind all of these amazing family members that have to learn how to live their lives without her in it. And yeah, I feel devastated for her. I feel it's such a tragic situation, and I know she lived a full life and did lots of things in the 49 years that she was here. But I feel incredibly blessed that I have had another decade and hopefully another decade to come. But it's not guaranteed. And so I need to adjust some of my thinking. I need to be more okay that death happens and more prepared. And I need to live my life a little less fearfully. The lovely woman in the video says, "You are going to face loss and decline and death. You cannot avoid it, but you can face it with courage instead of denial." That really hit home for me. You can prepare for it instead of pretending it will never come. And when it comes, you can discover you are stronger than you ever thought. She also says here, the last 30 years go faster than the first 60. Whew, that's pretty huge. And that does make a whole lot of sense, because as I said earlier, when we're younger, we're always looking forward to things that we want to tick off in life. But certainly as we get older, we've achieved a lot of those milestones, and it's less about, maybe that's not right. Maybe that's not right to say it's less about those milestones. And maybe that is what we need to be doing more of. We need to be still searching and reaching for challenges in our life. And that also makes me think, one of the things I never want to do is I never want to retire. And I often hear friends saying, "Oh, I can't wait till I retire." And for me, I can't imagine retiring. I mean, my life will look different to how it currently looks now, but I always want to have some sort of purpose or some reason to get out of bed each day, and something that really sets me on fire and gets me excited. And so, I may not be doing a 9-to-5 job, but I won't be looking to retire and slow down and quieten down. I want a life that does look a little different, but it's still full of adventure and fun and challenges. And I think that that's one thing for me that I will definitely try and still seek out those challenges. Yeah, just to sort of reiterate, she says here, pay attention to your 60s every single day, because it's going faster than you think. You cannot slow it down, and you cannot get any of it back. And I suppose one of the reasons I wanted to turn the camera on today and talk about this is because we don't talk about it enough. We don't, or no one sort of prepares you for this stage of life, for losing people. And today I thought, I need to get used to this. I'm going to be going to more funerals now than ever before in my life. And that's just a fact of life. So I need to adjust my thinking and get comfortable with it. And it sort of just makes me sort of think about that saying, that get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I think often we don't do that. We're always looking for a comfortable, easy route, and there's nothing comfortable or easy about death. And the more, I believe, we talk about it, and the more we normalize it, and the more we prepare for it ourselves as well, because it is coming to us all, the easier, I think, or maybe not the easier, but the more we will be able to accept the reality of it and the normalcy of it. It doesn't mean that it's not devastating and sad, and, there is nothing worse than losing people that we love, but I truly believe we need to prepare, and we need to talk about it more, and we need to understand grief and share grief as well. It's like that sort of thing when someone sort of says to you, oh, hi, how are you? And we always just kind of go, oh, yeah, good, thanks, how are you? Even if we're not, we're almost conditioned that we sort of have to have a positive response to things. But, you know, that's not normal. That's not real life. So maybe it's time that well, certainly for me, I'm going to be looking at things differently, and I'm going to make sure that I prepare for the inevitable. And whether that's buying the end of life planner, or even making one, I'm thinking I might actually just make one myself and create a bit of a template, and I think it's a really sensible thing to do. I'm sure most of us think that it's way too morbid to plan that far ahead, but I think it's really sensible, and I certainly will be doing that. So I think the funeral today has taught me that I need to not take my days for granted. Every day is truly a blessing, and to live my life differently with a new awareness that I'm not here forever. She ended the video with quite a poignant sort of piece of advice that I would like to share with you as well, because I think this is probably something that we all could do well to hear. She said, I have outlived everyone I have ever loved. And if I could go back and sit across from that woman who thought she had all the time in the world, I'd say, listen to me. It goes far faster than you can imagine. So pay attention, be present, make the call, take the trip, forgive the grudge. Don't waste your 60s like I did. You still have time, but not as much as you think. If anything, this has probably just reminded me how important and precious life is, and how every day matters, and to live my life, to live each day as if it's your last. And it's almost impossible for us to do that. But I think if we have a mindset of recognizing that it could be our last, it may just make it easier for us to really appreciate the day-to-day stuff. It is all too easy to think that we've got time. I think that all the time. I sort of put things off. I put going off and seeing my parents in Australia, or my son who lives in the South Island of New Zealand. I put things off because I think, oh, I'll do that next year, or I'll do that next month, but I personally need to stop putting things off. And I think that applies to the small things in life as well. Even the things like making the phone call to a friend or a loved one, or saying yes to an invitation, not even putting the small things off, because we can't take a day for granted. And I think that's the only positive that I could take out of losing such a beautiful friend far too early. That, Leonie, you need to live your life with a different type of purpose, because this next 30 years, if I'm so lucky to get another 30 years, is going to go faster than the first 60 that I've almost had. Don't take it for granted. Take some risks, do some fun stuff, have adventures while I still can. There's no real neat way of wrapping up this video, but I did want to share some of these things because I think it's important, and I do think that this is a subject that we don't talk about enough. But death is a big part of life, and we need to normalize it. And then we need to live our life accordingly, knowing that we don't have a lot of time. Thanks for watching.